What is going on, everybody? Today we are going to be looking at my 5 favorite sleepers at fantasy skill positions: running back, wide receiver. I'm not going to get into any tight ends because it's a little thin this year, and I haven't really taken a deep dive into that position quite yet. But let's get into my 5 favorite running back / wide receiver sleepers for next season. Maybe use it for Dynasty. Maybe you're a fan of the draft process like I am. Whatever it is, this video is for you. First player we're going to be talking about today is Brashard Smith from SMU. Probably my favorite diamond in the rough kind of pick. Day 3 guy, maybe day 2. As the draft prospect continues on, he might get more buzz. His workout is going to be very impressive compared to other running backs. His receiving upside is going to be something that NFL offenses will really fall in love with. His burst is right up there with some of the better running backs in this entire class. And in terms of the class overall, this running back class has some incredible potential. We're talking like 2013 level. The guys that just all the way down the board are going to be competing for touches immediately. Brashard Smith, something that he does better than anyone is his receiving. Like we said, in terms of the entire class, his receiving upside is going to be the best at the entire position. He was a converted receiver from Miami, very similar to Tyrone Tracy from Purdue. So look to see him at least get third down snaps in an NFL offense. And you like fits like somewhere where he can be that third down running back. Another thing that I mentioned is his burst and acceleration is going to be some of the best out of the position in the class. Like I said, he was a converted wide receiver, so he has that deep threat speed. He's probably going to be running in the low 4.4s, and at his size, it's going to be a pretty impressive time. One thing that he really excelled at in SMU's offense is their zone running scheme. Look to find an NFL offense that runs a zone running scheme, which is most offenses nowadays. He has tremendous vision in that scheme, and I think it'll fit him very well. Then with his burst, of course, is the change of direction. He has an incredible change of direction. I'm excited to see his 3-cone drill. Not that that's something that people look for a lot, but guys like Ladd McConkey had cone drills off the charts, and you can see it in his play now. He makes people miss. His route running is immaculate. And with running backs, it's just as important to be able to stop and start on a dime. And another thing that I really liked out of Brashard Smith at SMU this past season is they didn't just use him as a running back, obviously. They split him out wide, put him in a slot. They did all sorts of gadget plays with him. So I'm excited to see what a smart NFL offensive mind can do. Guys like Kevin O'Connell and Kyle Shanahan would splurge themselves if they got a guy like this. And I'm genuinely I would be shocked if he didn't rise up draft boards throughout this process. Now, of course, no prospect is perfect. I'm making this guy sound like he's going to be the next, Alvin Kamara or Marshall Faulk. But, he's not perfect. He is 1 year removed from changing positions from wide receiver to running back. There's a lot of things that he needs to improve on still. Kind of like we're seeing with Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy is struggling at times with things like ball security. He's not hitting the right holes, maybe that are being schemed for him. And then another thing, obviously, with a new running back, you're going to have to learn how to pass protect effectively if you're going to stay on the field in the NFL. And that's something he still struggles with. So he's going to need to improve on. Between the tackles is something that he still struggles with. Obviously, he's only been taking running back snaps for a year. So those between the tackle runs are going to be something that he has to get used to. Overall, the pass catching upside, the acceleration, the burst, the change of direction, these are all things that are not just taught. You can't just teach these things. He's a very natural athlete. He's very fluidly moving, and those are all traits that NFL offenses are going to fall in love with. He's going to find himself on a team contributing day one. I'm a firm believer in Brashard Smith. If I can, I'm going to be investing in him heavily in fantasy leagues across the board. Next guy up that I'm genuinely shocked hasn't gotten more buzz since the end of the season, and maybe it's due to injury. He hasn't played the second half of the season, is Jalen Royals, the wide receiver out of Utah State. He's a verified sub 4.4 player at 6 foot, 205 pounds, so decent size for the wide receiver position. He actually transferred in from Georgia Military College, so he is an under-the-radar high school prospect that has really burst onto the scene since he came into Utah State. Another thing that a lot of scouts are going to love is his athleticism. He was a track superstar in high school, which is always a plus side, especially at the wide receiver position when you can go up and get jump balls. And with his speed and size, he's going to be a very enticing deep threat, and that's going to be his main attraction to NFL scouts. But his medium and short route running are just as good. Not as good as his deep threat ability, but still pretty fantastic. But like I said, his deep threat ability is going to be what attracts NFL scouts the most. He had the most 50-plus yard touchdowns in all of college football last year, his fully healthy year in 2023. He is 6 foot 205, but the way he plays contested catches downfield, he plays bigger than he is. Another thing that stands out about Jalen Royals is his ability to find soft spots in zone coverage, and the way that NFL defenses have developed. This is something that will be a big trend in wide receiver prospects, and someone who can understand zone coverages from a wide receiver standpoint is going to work well with a smart quarterback. So that's another very enticing trait that Jalen Royals has that is going to be attractive to these NFL scouts in this offseason. Now, the big knock against Jalen Royals is his experience and the level of play that he's played against. He's been in Group of 5 and the military college, as I mentioned. So the big knock is, like, who is he playing against? What corners are you playing against? Is he playing against players that are making him look good because they're so bad, or is he actually that good? These are the kind of guys who are harder to guess on, but that's also why they're the sleeper picks. People are going to knock on him about, which I'm not really a believer in, his route tree. He didn't really show a ton, but again, he's so athletic, his change of direction, his acceleration, his speed, his size. I think he's going to be able to develop his route tree just fine in the NFL. Another guy that I love who is not getting talked about a lot because of his more elite prospect teammate in Jaden Higgins is Jalen Noel. The Iowa State wide receiver is a 5'11", 200-pound, another super athletic, fast receiver. You know, Jaden Higgins was this bruiser, physical wide receiver, like a Drake London archetype, and then Jalen Noel was this quicker, make you miss kind of receiver who was a really good change of pace for this offense and a big contributor to why this offense was so effective and why they made the Big 12 championship. Extremely effective in short, intermediate, and deep route running, which is something that's going to benefit him a lot in the NFL. He has a very well-developed route tree, so that's something that NFL scouts are really going to like. They don't have to work on that too much. If he does find himself onto an offense where he's wide receiver 3, I'm a firm believer in him being able to win over a wide receiver 2 spot and complement a wide receiver 1 very effectively. Think of, how Devonta Smith complements A.J. Brown, or, Jaden Reed brings a level of versatility that allows so many other receivers in the Packers offense to showcase their strengths. Another thing for fantasy owners that they're going to love to hear is he has this incredible run after catch ability. I wouldn't say quite like Zay Flowers or anything like that, but maybe Wan'Dale Robinson or Demario Douglas. He's probably going to be getting a lot of screen looks in NFL offenses if he's, the run after catch guy on that team. So that's kind of a PPR cheat code, in my opinion. Then obviously some knocks. He's only 5'11". He doesn't quite have the weight to be this bruiser wide receiver, but he's going to be scrappy in the most polite way possible, the most respectful way possible. He's not going to be a boundary guy. He's going to be a slot in the NFL, which is a very underrated position in my opinion. I think a good slot receiver is crucial for an effective NFL offense. And if he plays against a physical corner in the slot, he might struggle. If they're pressing him, he doesn't do super great in press coverage, so that is something that he needs to develop. His release needs to get better with physical corners, so that's something to look for. But Jalen Noel, great prospect in my opinion. He's getting overshadowed by his teammate. But yeah, a guy to look out for in this draft process. Okay, so we've talked about a couple receivers now. Let's talk about another running back. Woody Marks out of USC is another guy with some potential. A receiving back from USC is has shown upside as a rusher as well, so there is a lot of potential with him to develop as a 3-down running back. I don't know where he might land, where that is a possibility. A lot of scouts are ranking him down in like the 10 to 20 range, so I don't know where he's going to get picked, honestly. I'm a lot higher on him than a lot of other people, so in my opinion, I think he should be in like the 8 to 12 range in terms of where he should be ranked with this running back class. And seeing as how this is one of the deepest running back classes in recent memory, I can understand why he's ranked lower on a lot of scouts boards. But Woody Marks to me is a really great prospect. He excels on making people miss, especially in open field. He has elite agility. Think of DeAndre Swift coming out of college. Just like DeAndre Swift, he's a very natural pass catcher. Other than Brashard Smith, he might be the number 2 pass catcher as a running back coming out of this class. He is very effective in hitting his holes when he finds them. He has a very decisive running style. Not quite Le'Veon Bell. I would say the complete opposite. He will hit a hole extremely aggressively, and maybe it doesn't mean breaking off big runs every play, but it does mean gaining effective yards consistently. And just like Brashard Smith, USC used him in all different ways, splitting out wide, setting up in the slot, and of course out of the backfield in the receiving game. As I mentioned, the DeAndre Swift comparison, he might not have the ideal size as an NFL running back, which, maybe is a knock, but working with a running back in NFL might be something that benefits him a lot, being someone who doesn't have the maybe size to be a workhorse potential guy, even though he does have the ability to be an effective runner at the NFL level and a pass catcher. So he does have the potential to be a 3-down back, but having the size that he has, it's not as likely. Another consistency he has with DeAndre Swift is he doesn't break tackles. He goes down with initial contact very frequently. He doesn't have a lot of yards after contact in comparison to a lot of guys in this class, so that is one knock. But like I said, his agility kind of makes up for that. DeAndre Swift doesn't have a lot of yards after contact either, but he's also like sneaky rushing for 1,000 yards for some reason. But with that size and the workload inconsistencies, we haven't really seen his ability to take over a backfield completely. He has yet to find a 600-yard rushing season, so there are questions about his durability and his workhorse upside. But if you're willing to overlook that, I believe Woody Marks is a fantastic prospect and a potential, cuff to start. But if he gets an opportunity, say like Chase Brown or Bucky Irving are 2 guys that come to mind. He's one of those guys who can, with the right situation and the right circumstances, he could find himself being, a 20, 25 touch a game guy who puts up crazy numbers, just sneaky. I would say in terms of the current class and where he sits in most scouts' rankings, he'll be a day 3 pick. But, every year we see day 3 picks, especially at the running back position, excel. Maybe not in the first year, but second, third year, they develop behind whoever they might be, tag teaming with, and they become super great running backs. So Woody Marks, keep your eye out for him as the draft process goes along. Another group of 5 receiver that I'm a very big fan of is Ricky White from UNLV. He showcases elite vertical route running and deep threat ability that I think will be very good in NFL offense. He doesn't quite have the weight, but he is 6'1", so he doesn't really lack height, which is good for the deep threat prototype. Another thing that really helps a deep threat guy like this is his intermediate route running ability. He has a very effective win rate on dig routes and out routes in the 10 to 25 yard range, which helps his ability to get open on these deep routes. It opens everything up for his quarterback, and it really allows their offense to play to whatever the defense is sitting on. He's very good after the catch if he has the ability to get some steam going. When he's hit on the run, he has shown to be very elite after the catch, but when he's stopped and catches the ball from a standstill, it's a little less effective, not as impressive. And another thing that I was really a big fan of when I watched Ricky White film was his ability to leverage different coverages and change his routes based on this. And I think his quarterback had a really good understanding of how he was going to play on these coverages as well, which is something he's going to have to build his chemistry with in the NFL with his quarterback. But that was something I was very impressed with. Getting behind guys in zone coverage, making them lose him, whatever it might be, sitting down in softer zone coverage, taking advantage of free releases in the slot. He just has a very good understanding of coverages and recognizing that from the snap. So that's something that NFL offenses are really looking for, especially now being so pass heavy and zone coverage heavy. If he is able to develop against press coverages and bigger corners, I think he will be able to excel in an NFL offense, no problem. I'm expecting him to go into the 5, 6, 7 round range, but given the right opportunity, maybe an NFL team loves him and he finds himself on a team with, shorter depth chart, and he finds the ability to play a lot of snaps. Guys like Jalen Coker went undrafted, and he wasn't super refined as a prospect, but he has shown the ability to contribute in the NFL. And I believe that Ricky White has the potential to do a similar thing. It's all just about where he's positioned on his team and how he develops into that NFL offense's game plan. I think there's something there. I'm excited about him. I know a lot of people haven't really been. They've been a little back and forth from what I've seen, but I really liked what I saw from his route running on those intermediate routes and his understanding of coverages. So those were my 5 Dynasty draft running back wide receiver sleepers in the NFL draft in 2025. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. It would make me so happy. Anyways, a lot more content hopefully coming out like this for the 2025 draft. If you have anything that you want me to make or prospects that you want to see specifically, please let me know in the comments. Thank you and goodbye.